It's Jim Check. You're watching Kelowna Now. Today with me, Daniel Connolly of Helen's Acres Farms.
Hello.
And you have an urban farm here, a farm that for produce here in Kelowna, just off Mission Creek.
Yeah.
24 acres.
Yeah, 24 acres.
And the best part is most of the produce goes?
We donate 100% to our local food bank agencies, like the Food Bank, Gospel Mission, Salvation Army, the Women's Shelter, the CMHA, and Mamas for Mamas, and even Hands in Service.
Wow, so 24 acres is quite a bit for most people that live on like a third of an acre or less.
Yeah.
So what are you growing mostly?
We have a huge focus on potatoes, carrots, and onions. And then we have a variety of our lettuces, spinach, kale, cucumbers, zucchini, tomatoes.
So how many people working on this farm?
So for staff wise, we have myself and our farmer Kevin as our full-time people, and then we have slots of our summer staff. Right now, currently just 2 summer staff that are here for a few months, and then they go back to their school or their other jobs.
Oh, yeah. So what? Obviously, farming is busy in the spring, getting the ground ready.
Yeah.
Planting, the big thing, and then the care and maintenance as things go, and then harvesting as plants come around, right?
Yeah. So a lot of work in the spring, seeding in our greenhouse, getting the plants nice and healthy before we plant them in the ground, getting the ground ready, and then preparing for our volunteers coming.
So they do most of the picking kind of thing?
They're a part of it. So we guide them through that, and every day from Tuesday to Saturday, we get into harvest in the morning, and then that specific day, a partner comes and picks up the food.
So how did you get into this model? Because a lot of farms in town obviously have little fruit stands and stuff, and they sell commercially or to the consumer direct.
Yeah.
But your model is all directly to not-for-profits.
Yeah. So the farm used to be owned by Gordone and Helen Ziglar, and they wanted to donate their property for impact in the community. So they donated the farm to the Trinity Legacy Foundation.
Oh, okay.
And they wanted to make sure that the farm remained a farm for 20 years.
Right.
And we're coming to year 7 now, and we want to go beyond the 20 years.
Right.
They wanted to provide education to students and anyone to learn and know that food comes out of the ground. Not the grocery store, as surprising as that is for some people, that the place would address the food crisis in our community, and then that we would name the place after his late wife, Helen. And so
this Trinity Legacy Foundation is obviously related to the Trinity Church, I take it, right?
That's a common question. It's a separate entity. The foundation was birthed out of Trinity Church, but it's been operating as its own nonprofit.
Right. But I'm just saying it's kind of like it's come from there kind of thing.
It's come from there, birthed from there, but it's
quite the gift
standalone.
that they left behind.
Quite the gift for a pretty big impact in our
gift
community.
that keeps on giving.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? As opposed to like, here's some money, do something with it, but this is a gift that kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good for you gift too, right?
Yeah. And Gordon was able to see a trend happening within our community that more and more people were needing food.
Right. So what's your role in this?
I am the community manager there.
Okay.
So I am in charge of all volunteer groups on site.
Yeah.
I organize the calendar, do the socials, and work with our community partners for scheduled pickups.
And how long have you been there?
A year and 4 months now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, though, like all that food. Any idea of how much food is grown?
That's a good question. Yeah, so last year we did 76,600 pounds of food.
Wow.
And the year prior was 56,000. Part of the need for that increase was our partners were asking for more because their need was growing.
Yeah, growing and growing.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, the food bank was at an average about 3,500 people per month that they gave hampers to. And at the end of last year, in December 23, they finished off at 7,500 people per month. And as of today's date, they're at 9,300 people per month.
Yeah, it just keeps growing.
Yeah. 56% of that is working families.
Yeah, no,
and
it's getting tougher and tougher.
It is.
Right? Mortgage, interest rates, all kinds of things. We can go on and on and on. But that's not what we're going to talk about here. But And what do you find like the most exciting part of doing what you're doing? Obviously, working with your hands and working with soil, and I grew up on a farm and a ranch, and I
Yeah.
know how good that feels to be out there, right?
Yeah.
And watching the stuff grow, right?
A huge benefit in being on the farm is being able to see that the people that come to the organizations that pick up
Yeah.
are a part of a greater purpose, and be able to be a part of something that they see the need in our community. They volunteer their hours from kids who are in grade 4, 5, and 6, all the way to a lady who gave of her time last year and she was 92. And people believe in this space. They believe that our property can make a huge impact in our community with all the organizations.
That's what I was saying, that gift that Helen and her partner, what was his name?
Gordone and Helen Ziglar,
have given is quite the gift. I mean, because not only in this time, like, it's good food that people should be eating. Do you know what I mean? And that one happens to be really good for the community, for people that can afford that good food right now. Right?
Absolutely, because often within the hampers they're left to canned goods or dried goods. Those have longevity, but in our 8-month window of growing, to be able to get fresh produce locally grown,
onions last a long. You know what I mean? Those like potatoes and onions.
Correct.
They kind of store for quite a while, right? If you store them properly, right? So, do you store any of it and kind of like give them to the charities over the years, or is it all just kind of distributed as it's picked?
All within the season that we have. But when we get to potatoes, we have a couple of coolers on site, and so we bag them. Storage, right? Yeah. So especially last year with the fires, we were at our prime time of harvesting our potatoes, and we lost a lot of volunteers. And a lot of our partners
were displaced, probably, in all kinds of things.
Absolutely, and a huge portion of our volunteers are in their 60 plus. So when the fires started happening, a lot of people were saying, "Dan, just because of my health, I can't come," and that's totally fine. So we were able to store the potatoes, also because a lot of our partners were receiving huge donations from the community. So they said, "Dan, can you hold off on the potatoes for a little bit, because we're running out of room?" And we're like, "Yeah, no problem. We've got the storage." So we held up a little bit and then distributed as needed.
Anything you want the community to know? Can anybody come out there and check it out, or can they volunteer if they want? Or?
So for volunteering, being able to go to helensacres.com is a great place to start, whether you're a part of a corporate group or an individual. And then you fill out a form to get connected with us, come for an orientation. And then other ways to get involved is being able to understand, as a working farm, we have regular costs that are definitely supported by people who are rather giving up a latte a week or being able to contribute in any ways that they can if they're not able to get feet on the ground and hands in the dirt, which helps us, because as we are in need of growing more and more food, we need to be able to accommodate those costs from diesel fuel for the tractors, seeds, and things like that. So our community, as big and small as it is, it would be great to connect with more people, and how close we are, how accessible we are as a farm to impact the community more.
Because there's no revenue generation at all. It's all being given away. So it's all, you're covering costs either through that foundation or through donations.
So anything that comes in through the foundation is covering all of our costs. We don't sell anything on the farm.
Quite the purpose there. That's awesome. That gift is like, one of the most impressive gifts that I've heard of in a while.
So, thank you. I appreciate that.
So again, helensacres.com.
helensacres.com.
I imagine you have some social channels as well.
Helen's Acres Kelowna on Instagram and on Facebook.
There you go. Anything else you want to add?
I'm really thankful to be here. I appreciate this opportunity to bring more awareness to our community.
And we'll put links in the down there, I guess. And you can share them. And again, volunteer, and or if you can contribute, I mean, that'd be great. Again, that's quite the cause. Like, good food, good wholesome food. I mean, we all know we should be eating better, right?
Yeah, correct.
So good food for a good cause.
Correct.
There you go. There's your new tagline.
And especially with the cost of groceries just continually rising.
It's hard. More and more people are accessing the food bank and different things, right? Correct. We're seeing more and more Canadians, not just in Kelowna, but Canada-wide, accessing food banks. And people are being stretched with the inflation and with higher mortgage costs and rent costs and all those things.
Correct.
There's not a lot of disposable income out there. So and getting access to good food, because lots of times the cheaper food is the food that's not so good for you.
Right. Yeah. Right? Fair enough.
Yeah. Eat your veggies and do some good. And thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
Thank you.